I can't believe he got the vaccine
already.
Yeah, no, Georgia's official policy is any pussy who will take one. So it's on their website and everything.
Huh. Yeah, that tracks. Okay.
What are you talking about? You have to wear it.
I don't want to wear it.
Well, then how is Cecil Prime going to know which one you are?
We did not settle on calling them the Primes.
I like the Primes.
Hey, why are we in the room that we just came into? Why is there a...
Yeah, this is confusing.
Yeah, sorry about that. You know how this week's episode is about the death of Superman?
Sure.
So Eli got to thinking about it, and he brought back all the times that we've come back from the dead. So here we are.
Here we are. Yep.
Wow. There's a lot of you. Clip, clop.
Yeah, sorry. He's from before Cecil made Eli stop writing that bit. So
Well,
that's going to be Tom.
I guess at least nobody's dying. And we have enough to do a podcast, right?
Yeah, no, it could be a lot worse.
Okay. Well, where is Eli anyway? I don't see him or any of his brought back to life selves anywhere.
Oh, they're all in the storage closet. Fucking in the closet.
Gross.
Yeah, you do
Gross.
not.
Come on.
It looks like the end of Akira back there.
Oh, Tetsuo.
Clip, clop.
Sure is, buddy.
Hello and welcome to Citation Needed, the podcast where we choose a subject, read a single article about it on Wikipedia, and pretend we are experts. Because this is the internet, that's how it works now. I'm Cecil, and I'll be your comic book guy today. But I can't do this show alone, so also joining me are two guys who would definitely set their drink or piece of pizza down on your New Mutants 87, Keith and Tom.
Okay, if I could destroy your retirement account with my buffalo wings, that's not a good retirement.
It's only like $500
Cecil,
comic.
I don't even know. Why would I set down either food or a drink? Like,
That's a good point.
did somebody
That's a
throw
good
a
point, Tom.
baby at me and my drink was warm? Like, I didn't even understand the question, and now I want a drink.
Okay. All right. No, that's fair.
Use my
That's fair.
holsters. Obviously, that's dumb. Doesn't even make sense.
Also joining us tonight is the guy that wants everyone in the shop to know how bad that comic movie adaptation was, and the dude that buys hentai for the articles, Noah and Eli.
Yeah, I do. But, if I told everybody how bad it was, then they would just end up with the Cecil cut. And that wouldn't reflect my original vision of how the screen should have gone and the whole thing. And you know what? We have more respect for our audience's time than HBO. So
Yes, like infinitely more.
And when you need to know how many tentacles you can fit in your butt, don't come crying to me, Cecil. Okay? Because I know.
to see.
Patrons, you're our amazing Fantasy 15. Enough said. If you'd like to
idea.
learn how to join their ranks, be sure to stick around till the end of the show. And with that out of the way, tell us, Noah, what person, place, thing, concept, phenomenon, or event will we be talking about today?
The death of Superman.
And Eli, why do we let him do this again? You know what? Never mind.
Don't ask questions. Like
What was the death of Superman?
It is, without question, one of the most important events in comic book, and I would argue cultural history.
Well, at least you know it would be an argument.
And it all begins as the literary equivalent of Marmaduke's greatest hits. See,
We're going to say literary. Thank you, Tom.
Literary.
Literary?
I wasted a lot of money.
Good.
It's fine.
You sure did.
See, the good and bad thing about Superman is that he is the history of comic books as we know them. Before Superman, all American comics were compilations of syndicated comic strips with maybe a guest contribution or a new strip here and there. So the history of comics as we know them pre-Superman is literally shit like Detective Dan, Secret Operative number 48.
That does sound terrible. I'm a Detective Dapper Dan man myself.
Oh, there you go.
Like Detective Fop.
Ain't this a geographical oddity?
But the story of Superman himself came from the minds of high school pals Jerry Siegel and Joe Shuster, alumni of Cleveland High.
The
first-
go.
Yeah.
Whatever
There we
mascot.
It's a very
It's probably racist. Let's not go that mascot.
Let's not
That's
look
Cleveland.
up the mascot.
Yeah. The first attempt at Superman actually appeared in 1933 in Siegel's self-published magazine called Science Fiction, the Advanced Guard of Future Civilization.
You have to do the rest
You
of
have
the
to do
essay.
this entire
The rest of
episode
the
with that
essay
point.
like that. Come on.
100% old-timey radio voice. That's it, right? Quit the show.
It was a short story illustrated by Schuster in which an evil scientist gives a vagrant named Bill Dunn the powers of mind reading, mind control, and clairvoyance, which Bill abuses and then loses. The story is not very
It's
good.
pre-gas powered lawnmower man. I get it. Okay.
Yeah, it's not very goodness, by the way, would set a tradition that would bind Superman for generations to come.
Spoiler.
Someone finally said it.
Yeah, but at least they got the idea of oversaturating one guy with way too many powers out of the gate fast. That's
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah. Well, they agreed with you. Sensing that short fiction might not be for them, Siegel and Schuster then tried to get into comic strips, like in the newspaper. But publishers told them that their ideas weren't sensational enough, so they revisited the Superman story. This new version of Superman still got tricked into his superpowers by a mad scientist, but now he had super strength, bulletproof skin, and he wasn't a villainous vagrant anymore.
Okay, hold on. Just the skin was bulletproof? So can you like shoot Superman in the eye and kill him?
No,
If they're open?
no, I've seen the video. Brian Singer
Yeah,
says
it's a
can't.
big point of Kevin Spacey's movie.
What if you
Side
shoot him
note-
in the butthole?
Oh, if he's gaping as you shoot him,
Right, yeah.
will it
exactly.
bounce around inside
Is
him?
your colon bulletproof? I didn't think so.
Yeah, I don't know if the colon counts as skin. Skin has to be external. There's a way.
It's a debate
There's a
here.
way.
Yeah.
This is important stuff. Go ahead, Eli.
So, side note, it's very important to Jerry Siegel that you know that this second version of Superman wore a bat-like cape in some of the panels they drew. Yes.
Wow.
Now, he can't show you those panels, and the panels he can show you just have a fucking cape in them, but he totally did, and that means he invented Batman, because I guess literally creating the first superhero in history wasn't enough for Jerry Siegel.
Okay, well, technically, some guy invented Batman in like 1066 when the first cape happened in fashion. And Siegel stole it.
And some guy invented Superman in 1883 too. It didn't work out as well for the Jews that time. But, yeah.
That's fair. That is fair. So, after a series of rejections, Siegel realized what was holding him back. His best friend and business partner.
Okay, before you guys get any bright ideas, remember, I am the moral center of this show. That's not good for any of us.
So he informed Schuster that he'd be working with more successful and famous artists from then on. And Schuster told him exactly what those artists and him could do to each other and themselves. Siegel pitched different versions of Superman around to popular artists, but none of them sold. So he and Schuster reconciled.
Yeah, maybe he
Finally
wanted to do
managing-
that in reverse, like line up the
Yeah,
other
right,
artists before
You'd
burning
think.
your bridges.
Mhm. Yeah, so he finally sold Superman to publisher Jack Leibowitz. A lot of Jews in this story. For an upcoming
Well, it is
anthology
media.
called Action. Yeah, exactly. Called Action Comics, which famously is where Superman we know and love first appeared.
It's weird that an origin story that starts with an unaccompanied minor refugee seeking asylum worked in the 30s.
Right.
You know, you'd think they'd just shove him back on the St. Louis and send him back over to Germany. You know, that's what you would do.
Well, the baby that came out was white, so that really helped. It's just another crashed pod with a black kid with a pencil pretending not to see. Oh, Martha, we gotta raise this baby.
Oh, this
as our
one's
own."
circumcised. I don't know about that.
So, fun fact.
No, mine. Fun fact, Siegel didn't originally pitch Superman for Action Comics, but his newspaper deal fell through, so he proposed Superman at the last minute as an afterthought, is a fun fact.
Exactly.
Yep. Actually, that wasn't a fun enough fact. I'd like that to be Eli's thing again.
Okay.
Eli, you do the-
Fair.
just for now, today.
Fair. So Siegel and Schuster were paid $130 for Superman, the equivalent of $2,361 in 2019.
Why or 24.25 in 2021? this year now.
Or very likely, one shiny rock and 2 food packets in 2022.
Yeah, right.
It's not going
right.
well.
Matt
So-
Rock.
So the following month, they signed a contract in which they gave the copyright for Superman to Leibowitz's company, Detective Comics, Inc. They would spend the rest of their lives kicking themselves
Yeah.
and suing DC Comics for backsies. in a legal battle so intense and so drawn out that it was most recently settled for the children of their children's children in the year 2010. Fun fact.
Yeah, nice try. No, you're not going to get me. Say your stupid comic book thing. It's yours now.
So, fun fact, everyone was so busy fighting over that copyright that they failed to meet their renewal date for their original copyright for the original in 1998. And so, Superman, as represented in Action Comics, is due to enter the public domain in 2033. Now, DC is doing their absolute best to Mickey Mouse the shit out of that thing, but as long as he doesn't have heat vision or some of the stuff they added later, just 12 years after you hear this podcast, listener, you can do whatever the fuck you want to Superman. Whatever you want.
I'm pretty sure people are already doing that. Whatever they want to Superman.
Sell it, though. Yeah.
Will you be able to make him an interesting character, Eli? Would that be possible?
Cecil, Superman ruins everything.
Right?
Yeah, ruins every story. So stupid.
Well, you could start by giving him a bat-like cape. That's a good step.
Spoilers. So, on April 18th of 1938, Action Comics #1 hit shelves and was a tremendous success. Imitators and straight-up copycats followed, and the comics industry as we know it today was born.
Okay, Eli, so how did Superman die? Or did you tell him this story and he died of boredom? Did that happen?
I'm getting there. I am getting there.
All right, well, we tie Eli down and make sure there's a there to get to. We're going to take a quick break for some apropos of nothing.
Humans, prepare to meet your doom at the hands of Darkstar, destroyer of worlds.
Not so fast, Darkstar.
Superman.
And me, his best friend, Batman.
Sorry. Who?
We're in the Justice League together. We're best friends.
Batman.
And I'm also here to fight you. So you better get
Batman.
ready. Yeah. What's up, Superman?
Yeah. Can we
He's my best friend, by the way.
Can we talk just for a second?
Sure, absolutely. What's up?
Sorry, Darkstar, 1 second. Just give us.
No, I get it. You do your thing.
Batman, I think it's best that I probably take this guy down on my own.
You sure?
Yeah, he's a big planet-destroying monster in a big metal suit, and you're just a guy.
I'm a rich guy.
Right, yes.
And I know karate.
You do. It's just that he's a monster covered in metal. I don't know how much karate is going to help here.
I see. Well, I'm also the world's greatest detective. Maybe I could use my detective powers to find his weakness.
Sure, you could absolutely do that, but I have a hunch his weakness is going to be my super strong punches.
Right, probably that.
Or my laser vision or my ice breath, any of those.
Sure,
yeah.
Sure. Okay, so I'll just wait here then.
Sounds great. Thanks, man.
Hey, Superman.
Yeah, Batman. What's up?
Do you think there's a better use of my time and billions of dollars than trying to fist fight the threats to Earth that I'm almost never able to handle?
Yeah, man. Probably.
Ah, beans.
And we're back. When we left off, Superman existed. So either this episode's going to be really short or really fucking long. What happened next, Eli?
Okay, so by the time Superman dies, it's 1992. I'm 5 years old, Cecil and Noah are 40, and Superman has not held up well to the ravages of time.
Neither are most 40-year-olds.
Yeah,
so yeah,
right,
that's
yes.
fair. Yeah.
Especially the 16-year-old ones.
So the first problem, as we have hinted at gently in this essay, is the character of Superman himself. He's too powerful. He's an invulnerable alien god who chooses to work at a newspaper and report on all the genocide he's not stopping.
Yeah. He's kind of like Christian God, but he has a job.
Right, yeah.
Yeah.
He's gainfully employed on top of being like Christian God.
That character was fine for people in 1938. I mean, you could convince those assholes you weren't in a wheelchair by covering your legs with a blanket.
Okay.
But by the 1990s, people were a little bored of, perfect, super strong guy who just wants to love his best gal, something, letting rapes happen. So the 80s also gave rise to some of comics' most interesting anti-heroes, characters like the Punisher and Wolverine, who are written with complexity. I mean, these characters didn't always do the right thing, and they struggled with that. Meanwhile, Superman was still, fucking flying little old ladies across the street and shit. And on top of that, in 1985, DC launched the crossover event, Crisis on Infinite Earths.
And we've proven that humans can't deal with a crisis on a singular Earth. So that would be an interesting story.
Okay. Anybody else get the feeling that this is what post-coital conversation with Eli is like?
Doesn't make any sense. I'm not crying. Now, I don't want to go into detail on the plot of Crisis on Infinite Earths.
Oh, thank you, God. Oh.
But the end result was that the entire DC universe was essentially rebooted. While this allowed the other DC comics to do some interesting stuff with their IPs, Superman pretty much had the same boring origin story about farmers who find a super strong baby who never accidentally rips off their head or burns them with his heat vision, which, as Tom can attest, is less believable than the planet Krypton. My toddler has almost ripped off my head multiple times, and he does not have superpowers. And to make matters worse, Superman lost the only writer who was doing anything good with the series, John Byrne, and replaced him with, I am not kidding, an 18 creator panel in charge of keeping Superman's story coherent across various different comics. Yeah, you can imagine how well that went.
Yeah, probably as coherent as a podcast about history told by 5 people. Yeah, I bet you that's...
We just need 13 more white guys who podcast. We're all set. They're hard to find.
So by 1992, Superman was selling a fraction of what other comic books were selling, about 150,000 copies an issue, while popular comics like Spider-Man were selling about 540,000. So you got this shitty selling comic book about this boring character. 18 people are trying to make soup at the same time. And then, to make matters worse, Warner Brothers develops a TV show called Lois and Clark, The New Adventures of Superman, starring Dean Cain and Terry fucking Hatcher. And they, Warner Brothers, demand that the almost 2 basketball teams worth of writers scrap their plans for the comic for the year so that it matches the TV show, including the big season finale wedding they have planned.
Jesus Christ. Dean Cain has taken so much from us.
I miss the Etruscans and Tetris.
Okay, fair.
Much. I've been playing Tetris the last 20 minutes. I'm not going to lie.
So that's when writer Jerry Ordway, half as a joke, suggests to the writer's room that they kill Superman. He points out that when he worked at Marvel, killing a beloved character was a great way to shake up the world of the comic book. It explored how the other characters felt, and it gave them a chance to talk about big themes like love and loss. And on top of that, quote, the world was taking Superman for granted. So we literally said, let's show what the world would be like without Superman. End quote.
And the answer was way better,
right?
Way more compelling and interesting and useful to watch. The universe stopped being all of Christian cinema.
Now, you might be thinking to yourself or saying out loud, big fucking deal. Superheroes die all the time. Why would this matter? But back then, they didn't. I mean, yes, characters had died, but they were minor and they stayed fucking dead. What Ordway was suggesting was just unheard of in mainstream comics.
Well, originally he suggested Superman gets fucked to death with tentacle dicks, which was really unheard of in mainstream comics. They threw that out. It didn't happen.
But in the year 2033, you can bring this
outside of Japan unheard of is
Superman man.
They had to be really hard dicks too to get in there. Really strong dicks to get in there.
I caught that, Heath. That was brilliant.
Thank you.
I was going to
hilarious.
So to Ordway's surprise, DC said yes. And look, I know I've been a little harsh on Soups and his soccer team and a half of writers, but to everyone's credit, the death of Superman fucking rocks. right? It's beautifully drawn and constructed. The villain, Doomsday, is a fantastic contrast to Superman. There's no fucking kryptonite bullshit, no Lex Luthor kidnapping Lois Lane garbage. He's just a big, fucking, strong alien like Superman. He's Superman's Black Mirror, and they just fucking punch each other to death.
Cool. Yeah. Finally, they got an auteur on the
Yeah,
staff.
right.
Punching each other to
Like,
death.
how bad was Superman that just punch each other until one of them is punched to death was a step up? Like, super shocking step up, no less.
You got a dozen and a half writers who just like binge watch the Rocky franchise. Like, let's do that with capes.
Yeah.
Capes.
Pretty much. To give you an idea of how brilliant the construction of the series is, the last 4 issues leading up to the death of Superman use panels themselves as a countdown. So the first issue has 4 panels per page. Second has 3, third has 2, final fight is all splash pages. But the effect on the reader is that it feels as if you go from reading a story to these just flashes of images in your own memory. It's phenomenal. And people ate it up. The death of Superman, Superman 75, sold over 6 million copies. Fun fact, my father, avid comic collector that he was, waited outside his local comic book shop for it to open and bought 2 copies, one to read and one to seal in plastic or leave sealed in plastic and leave to me. I still have it. And I took a look on eBay. As of the Sunday before recording this, it was worth $31.
Yeah.
So
If we have time, can you just list the dollar value of all your precious keepsakes in your life, Eli? Can you just...
Yeah, hopefully you got plenty of tulips in that college fund too. Or I do like a kid.
Yeah, no, if there's one thing you can say for things that they make more than 6 million of, it's that they're rare.
Yeah.
Hard to come by.
yeah, but this didn't just affect comic book fans. This affected everybody. I mean, fuck, if you heard tomorrow that Scrooge McDuck got convicted of murder, you might not be up on your DuckTales, but you tune into that fucking episode.
Okay, yeah. Wasn't all that interested in the death of Superman, but you're right. I would watch that very special episode. Also, I fucking knew it about
Well,
Scrooge
yeah.
McDuck. I
You
fucking knew it.
suspected it the whole time.
What's under those coins, Duck? What's under those coins?
So SNL did a sketch about it. It made national news. It was the front page of Newsday. Jerry Ordway was right. Superman had died and the world was mourning him. And all DC had to do was stick to their guns. Because in comics, like comedy, you cannot fucking flinch, my friends. Following issues of Superman released 4 new Supermen: Steel, the Cyborg Superman, Superboy, and Eradicator.
Superboy, the fucking cyborg Superman. Well, I guess they'd used all their creativity on that awesome panels per page idea.
It was very cool. You don't know you were 40. So the writers at DC had never had this many eyes on them before. I mean, today, many of them say that the plan was always for Superman to come back and that the only reason people were reading was to see how and why Superman would come back. And look, maybe that's true. But me, I think people were reading to see what comics would do next. And how would those stories be told now that something this unthinkable was possible in the medium? But try as they might to do new and interesting things with their 4 new Supermen, DC eventually caved and Superman came back to life.
He just rolls back that huge kryptonite rock in front of his crypt.
Eli, I'm curious, which of the other 4 not at all Supermen would win in a fight?
Oh, well, actually, there's a few different
Oh my
schools of
God,
thought.
nobody cares. I wasn't seriously asking.
Oh.
You know what? I got to be honest, I kind of am curious. Who would actually win in that fight?
The Superboy. She's the only one. Superboy into a full-size Kryptonian. Yeah, Steel's actually just a guy, and the Eradicator's just a robot that's filled with Superman's DNA, and Cyborg Superman, he gets defeated by a relatively minor villain pretty early on in the series. The effect on comics of Super... Don't send me down a rabbit hole. The effect on comics and its fans was immediate. Readership immediately plummeted when Superman came back. So suddenly that everybody started fucking dying and coming back to life in comics, right? They killed Wonder Woman, The Flash, Green Lantern, Wolverine, Thor, the Hulk, Wolverine again. Spider-Man had a baby.
Well, they killed his passion. They didn't kill him.
Killed his sleep schedule.
Yeah.
So everyone was just trying to catch that hype train, but the illusion had been broken. The audience knew that Writers didn't have the cojones to stick to their guns, and the industry went into a free fall.
Okay, but in a show where some of us have died dozens of times, I don't feel like we have a lot of room to talk.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I'm dying inside every day. So does that count? I feel like it counts.
No, because that never comes back.
It's true.
So to give you an idea of just how bad people's faith in comic was, just about a year after Superman died, the Batman series Nightfall, where Bane discovers Batman's secret identity and breaks his spine, one of the most influential and best written plot lines in the history of the character, went largely ignored because everybody in the public and everybody who read comics knew he was just going to fucking comic book bullshit his way back into being Batman, which, to be fair, he did. As a result of Superman coming back, mainstream comics never really recovered. I mean, I would argue it wasn't until the Nolan reboots of Batman that the characters got a chance to become mainstream again. And film and television have largely led the industry since then. I mean, look, I love comic books. I literally have a collection of 5,000 comics, but I have not bought a new comic book, especially from one of the big houses, in years. Why? Because they got nothing to say. And if they do accidentally say something, they immediately take it back. So, I mean, except for Identity Crisis, of course. And, okay, Astonishing X-Men and Origin, obviously, but that's Marvel. Old Man Logan, also
Logan
Marvel.
was-
And
yeah, that was
yeah,
good.
and honestly, what Ennis and Dillon did with The Punisher in the 2000s.
Eli, can you just continue?
Sorry, rabbit hole. The upside is that many disaffected comic fans sought out indie publishers. This indie success led to new and interesting voices in the field, and that in turn gave rise to some of the legends we know and love today.
We? Would you say we?
Okay, some of the legends I know and love today.
Okay. What did Ennis and Dillon do with the Punisher in the 2000s?
Oh, they do this.
Oh my God, nobody cares.
Oh.
You had to summarize what you learned in one sentence. What would it be?
When I die, I promise to stay gone.
Are you ready for the quiz?
Absolutely.
All right, so Eli, to start things off, you offered up a few reasons why Superman might not have been the most popular comic in 1992. What else may have contributed to the decline in his popularity? A, the fact that 1992 people still remembered Superman 3 with Richard Pryor. B, the 1987 storyline where Superman gets mind controlled by an alien named Sleaze into making a super porn.
What?
Is that real?
What? Yep, with
Caliente.
Wonder Woman.
Real thing.
Yeah.
C, they still hadn't gotten over the 1970s storyline in which Lois Lane magically turns herself black since life was so much easier for black reporters in 1970.
What is happening?
Yes. Also, or D, the fact that Superman is an inherently terrible character that ruins every story by his mere proximity.
Yes.
Okay. Secret
Yes.
answer E. All of the above in your main.
Sorry, he gets mind controlled into making super porn?
Yep.
Does he make
Yeah,
it?
we had the
Mind
Wonder
controlled.
Woman.
I'm using
Yeah.
the quotes. Mind controlled
right,
into
right,
banging
exactly,
Wonder Woman.
exactly.
Offered a role. I mean, mind controlled.
Hey, Wonder Woman, let's go into this invisible room and have sex. What do you say?
There's this great moment in that comic, and it goes underappreciated because it's so bad, but they like defeat him, and they're like, oh, you won't control us again. And Sleaze is like, come on, we're all just fucking here. And it's so good to watch Sleaze be like, oh, y'all don't want to fuck each other? You don't want to fuck Wonder Woman, you don't want to fuck Superman. Okay, fine. I guess I'll go to super jail.
What superpowers come into play in the fucking? Do they actually
Super strength,
give you answers?
heat vision.
Caliente vision.
Harder than steel.
Boring.
All right. Superman died in a comic book. Then later didn't. So this changed all of comic book history so that A, comics are more relevant than ever, or B, no, it didn't.
See, you are. You are.
Okay. All right.
You.
Fine.
All right, Eli. What other comic storyline rivals this one in pure storytelling genius? A, when a being of near infinite power was defeated by a guy who shoots beams from his eyes. B, when a being of near infinite power was defeated by a guy who shoots webs from his hands. C, when a being of near infinite power was defeated by a guy who flies on a space surfboard. Or D, when a being of near infinite power was defeated by a guy who can stretch a lot.
Okay, but that team had such a good catchphrase, Cecil. Not me, Galactus.
I don't know what that means.
I don't know if that's right. God,
Big, tall, purple god.
All right. Eli, I got one more for
Each
you.
planets.
What is better than comic books? A, subprime mortgages. B, mangosteen fruit timeshares as an investment. Or C, having sexual intercourse.
That's going to be C because it's the only one I'm sure my father invested in.
That is not correct. It was the mangosteen
I always knew I was a test tube
I
baby.
so
knew
close.
comic
Heath,
books were better
Heath.
than sex.
You won, Heath.
A lot of
fruit. Excellent.
speculation.
All right, next week, let's get Noah on board.
I wasn't busy fucking or anything. Sure, yeah.
All right. Well, for Eli, Heath, Noah, and Tom, I'm Cecil. Thanking you for hanging out with us today. We'll be back next week, and by then, Noah will be an expert on something else. Between now and then, you can listen to our other shows. You can find them on citationpod.com. If you'd like to help keep the show going, you can make a per episode donation at patreon.com/citationpod or leave us a 5-star review everywhere you can. If you'd like to get in touch with us, check out past episodes, connect with us on social media, or check the show notes, be sure to check out citationpod.com.
Thanks for the lift home, Superman. I could have taken my bat jet, but you are significantly faster than my bat jet.
Yeah,
so-
much faster. No problem, Batman. No problem.
Hey, Superman,
Yeah, Batman.
when you and Lois Lane do it, how do you know, not kill her?
I'm gonna go. I gotta go.
Oh, come on, man. Is it hand jobs? I bet it's hand jobs.